Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Today we're doing a 14-team mock draft. Format is going to be based off of a league that I have coming up this Sunday, a draft coming up this Sunday night. Roster positions include one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, and two flex spots. Also included is one team defense, one kicker, and 8 bench spots. The composite draft, ADP, is based off of expert rankings on fantasypros.com. Composite ADP, ESPN, Fantrax, NFL.com, RTS Sports, MyFantasyLeague.com, etc. You get it. It's a pretty large composite collection of ADPs. So it's going to be a pretty competitive. They're not going to let you get off easy. Randomize the draft position out of 14 teams, and we're picking 5th. It's kind of in that David Johnson, James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott territory. We'll see what falls to us here. Maybe someone will pull up a wide receiver. 1-1, Saquon Barkley. And then Ezekiel Elliott went number 2, Alvin Kamara number 3, and CMC number 4. Computer is thinking that Ezekiel Elliott is coming back. We will see. We will see. Maybe the computer knows something about NFL contracts that Ezekiel Elliott doesn't know about. All right, so we have 5 and 6 for running back available, David Johnson and James Conner. Really feeling the James Conner pick. I do a lot of mock drafts with a James Conner and then coming back around with like a Tyreek Hill or a Mike Evans. This go around, I'm going to go David Johnson, be a little contrarian. People are kind of pulling his stock down right now. The offensive line was kind of exposed, in the preseason, so people have some concerns there, but I'm still feeling pretty confident with his value. He's going to get used a lot this year, and they're going to create a lot of opportunity for him in space in that spread offense. All right, second round, a lot of wide receivers went. Top wide receivers available, Antonio Brown, T.Y. Hilton, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. And top running backs available, Kerryon Johnson, Damian Williams, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette. For me, it's pretty easy right here. I'm going to mix it up into the wide receiver and running back combination for the first and second round. So right here, home run hit for me, I'm taking Adam Thielen. I like him a lot more than Antonio Brown this year, although Brown should have a fair amount of volume. I am concerned about injuries, attitude, team chemistry hasn't been there. The other guys that were right there, T.Y. Hilton, Stephon Diggs, really good opportunities for them. I just like Adam Thielen's ceiling. He put up 1,300 plus yards in the past 2 seasons. He's gotten over 90 plus catches in the past 2 seasons. So like his production, like what he can provide. Coming back to me in the third round right now, I want to take a running back. The running backs available are Kerryon Johnson, Leonard Fournette, Marlon Mack, and Josh Jacobs. Chris Carson is right there as well, but I think I could actually get him on the next round on my comeback. So I am thinking maybe a wide receiver could be the pick here, because I like Chris Carson just as much as I like these other guys. So wide receivers available, we're looking at Amari Cooper, Julian Edelman, Brandon Cooks. It should be mentioned that the top tight ends have all gone off the board. Kelsey, Kittle, Ertz, and Patrick Mahomes went somewhere in this mix as well. It looks like Patrick Mahomes went at 2-5, round 2, pick 5. So back to the wide receivers here. I'm feeling Amari Cooper in this spot. Solid wide receiver 1. Not really certain what's going to happen with Zeke right off the get-go. Maybe he does come back. But I think Amari Cooper could get a little bit more action based on the fact that the running game could take a back seat a little bit with Pollard and Weber maybe eating out of each other a little bit more. Amari Cooper should provide a steady floor from week to week. Should note that David Johnson and Adam Thielen both have a bye week on week 12. Not concerned about that at all. Aha, look at that. Came back around to me. Chris Carson right there on the board. Going to go ahead and grab him as my second running back. So first round, we went with David Johnson. Second round, we went with Adam Thielen. Third round with Amari Cooper. And fourth round with Chris Carson. So we have our 2 running backs and our top 2 wide receivers. Now, if we want, I can start filling out the flex positions or maybe go and grab a tight end. So what's available at tight end? Evan Ingram and Hunter Henry, both available. O.J. Howard, and of course, I mentioned the top 3 have gone. Jared Cook actually went ahead of Hunter Henry and Evan Ingram, who are available right now. Vance McDonald available as well. I'm going to hold off on the tight end position right now. There's still a lot of value there. I want to grab up some of these running backs. that are still holding like mid-tier value. We got David Montgomery available, Mark Ingram, James White, Philip Lindsay. I'm going to go and grab some Mark Ingram. Yeah, I'm going to go grab Mark Ingram. He has a week 8 bye. I'm not too worried about these buys. Once I get that far into the season, I'm playing with a lot of waiver wire players. The deck has been reshuffled who knows how many times by then. So once we get that far into the season, you see a lot more value and you're already making moves to replace those bye weeks. Came back around. Next pick, I have Hunter Henry still on the board, Vance McDonald. I believe this is, what pick is this? Round 6 we're at. Pick 80 overall. Just want to get a quick update on the space in the draft. Running backs available, we have Tevin Coleman, Tarik Cohen, Lamar Miller, all three, with all solid values. Marvin Jones, Larry Fitzgerald, Geronimo Allison, and wide receiver, and Emmanuel Sanders there as well. Got to grab one of these running backs. I'm going to go ahead and grab Tarik Cohen. Some talk about him getting less touches right now, but he's a home run hitter in my eyes. A guy that can tick it anywhere on the field at any time, catch balls, rush. I mentioned in the previous video he's passed for a touchdown, has kick return, so a lot of potential every week for him to score a lot of points. I'm going to dip back into that running back pool again and double down on that and grab Austin Ekeler over Lamar Miller and Miles Sanders. I like Austin Ekeler a lot this year. The fact that there is no movement on the Melvin Gordon situation just lends me more favoritism to draft him, more confidence to draft him. I do think that Jackson and him will eat into each other somewhat, but I think Austin Ekeler is going to be used as the big chunk play guy. So I think that his value every week is going to be very steady. He'll have a reliable floor. So now I have quite a few running backs. We have David Johnson, Chris Carson, Mark Ingram, Tarik Cohen, Austin Ekeler, Amari Cooper, those were the running backs. Johnson, Carson, Ingram, Cohen, Ekeler. My wide receivers are Cooper and Thielen, so we should probably start adding to that pool a little bit here. The tight end pool is starting to move down a little bit. We have Hooper, Walker, and Burton and Reed available. I still like a lot of talent that's available, so I'm going to still sit on that. Let's go grab a wide receiver here real quick. We have Kiki Kute, DaeSean Jackson, Moncrief, Golden Tate, Tyrell Williams. We are into the 8th round here. A lot of the guys that I've been previously talking about being available, they've been getting some more hype, so they've moved out of this space. Let's see here. I like Jamison Crowder. I think I'm going to pull him into this round. Jamison Crowder, they're saying ADP, 158. I'm at pick 108 overall. I'm not too worried about moving him up into this space. I think he's going to get a ton of work from Darnold out of the slot this year, and I feel that he is going to have a reliable floor every week, and he's going to be kind of a steady hand for Darnold in the passing game when you have collapsing pockets, and you just have Jamison Crowder's efficiency from the slot, like his career there. He's been super productive and really reliable. So next pick, I'm going to go ahead and take another wide receiver. I'm kind of torn here between James Washington and Deshaun Hamilton. Above them, we still have DaeSean Jackson available, Golden Tate, John Brown. I just think that Hamilton and Washington have a lot of upside in their offense. I'm going to go ahead and grab James Washington here. I like what I saw so far from him out of the preseason. It's not giving me a ton of solid depth at the wide receiver position, but I am drafting on upside. So I feel pretty confident about James Washington, though. He seems to be ahead of Moncrief in that competition for that secondary role. So I like what I'm seeing. I'm going to dip back over to the running backs. Still not drafting a quarterback or a tight end. The top tight ends available, you have Trey Burton, Jordan Reed, Mark Andrews, Kyle Rudolph, Jimmy Graham. I can still get guys down here like Greg Olsen, even like a Noah Fant, Tyler Eifert, Darren Waller. A lot of talent still left. I don't need to dip back into there just yet. I am going to grab a running back here, and I'm going to lock up Justin Jackson. So I have Justin Jackson now and Austin Ekeler. No issue there whatsoever. If one guy somehow takes off light years over the other, I have the other guy to back him up, no problem. Took him a couple of rounds away from each other, which is nice. I had spoken in a previous video or an article about taking them potentially back-to-back, but I was able to get some separation in their picks. So I like having that value and being able to shore up that backfield if one guy was to go down or if one guy starts taking off light years ahead of the other. So let's go and dip into the tight ends. I am going to go ahead and grab Greg Olsen right here. Greg Olsen, it actually says it's not a bad pick. 25% experts agree, but I'm taking him behind Jimmy Graham, Jack Doyle, Mark Andrews, Jordan Reed, Trey Burton. A lot of hype been going on with Mark Andrews. I'm going to kind of fade that hype a little bit right now. I like his talent. I just don't like all the pieces and all the tight ends in the system in Baltimore. They have a lot of guys there that can catch the ball, a lot of running. I don't know if there's going to be a steady pass-catching player on the team week to week. I think it's going to be interchanging between tight ends, Willie Snead, running backs, Lamar Jackson stealing touchdowns in the red zone, etc. DaeSean Hamilton is still available, so I'm going to go and grab him. Was torn between him and James Washington, but looks like DaeSean Hamilton sat, so I was able to grab him as well. We're going to go ahead and grab a quarterback now. We are in round 13. We have 3 bench spots left still, kicker and defense still not drafted, and we need a quarterback. So we're going to dip into the quarterbacks, and I'm going to grab Phillip Rivers. Have a lot of week 12 buys, probably going to have to tenderize that a little bit. Going to have to work that out, but I'm not too worried. Rivers, Johnson, Thielen, Ekeler, and Justin Jackson, all in week 12. Super manageable, not an issue. Let's see here. Might dip back into the tight ends for a little bit of depth there. We have Noah Fant, Tyler Eifert, Gerald Everett, Jason Witten, Cameron Brate. Ooh, Darren Waller did go. Ouch. Would have liked to have him as my backup. Get a little bit of hype, Darren Waller, since the last Hard Knocks episode. Teammates were talking him up. I think that's what people like to see, rather than like reporters and beat guys on the sidelines. You like seeing the teammates talk up players in camp. So that was nice to see, but I am not going to get him here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Tyler Eifert. He'll be my project tight end, if you will. Hopefully he just survives like the first 4 weeks and provides value. And you kind of like the fact that, with AJ Green hurt, there could be a little bit more volume there for Eifert out of the gate. So if he takes off somehow, get him into the lineup. Greg Olsen's my starter at the tight end position. Durability issue could be there, for sure. He's up there in age, but he did decide to come back, and not go into retirement. So I think that should be a positive sign. I think we should just take that as a grain of salt, or take that with a grain of salt, that, he should be healthy this year. If he feels good enough to come back and continue his career at that age, I think we should just trust him. Quarterbacks available: Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr. Probably going to dip into some Josh Allen or Derek Carr. This is round 15. Derek Carr will probably sit, so I don't really need to dip into him or dip into Josh Allen territory. I like Josh Allen's upside with the rushing game. I just don't like the entirety of the Buffalo offense, and Josh Allen's going to have to work to make it to run well and run efficiently. And I don't like the fact that he will have to run, and there's injury risk there. The rushing quarterbacks I try to stay away from. Stay away from. Let's see, wide receivers available. We have Quincy Enunwa, Robert Foster, David Moore. I like that David Moore right there. Gus Edwards, Frank Gore, Raquel Harmstead for Jacksonville, TJ Yeldon for Buffalo. Looking a little deeper into running backs. Not much that I'd like deeper than that. So let's stick with these wide receivers. Let's go back to the well here. Taylor Gabriel also available. I like his ability in that Bears offense. Going to be used a lot on sweeps, reverses, just a speedy tool guy. But I like David Moore. I like the fact that DK Metcalf is going to be unavailable to start the season, most likely. Provides David Moore a little bit more opportunity behind Tyler Lockett, who should be getting shadowed a little bit more on defense, should be getting highlighted a little bit more in the defensive back room by his opponents. Derek Carr did sit to this next round, so we're going to go ahead and grab him now. We have our whole bench filled, and we need defense and a kicker in the last 2 picks. How about that? It's exactly how I'd recommend it, guys. Don't need to reach into any rounds further than your last 2 picks for these 2 positions. I'm going to grab Greg Zuerlein over the defense, actually. That's right. Bringing the kicker into the second to last round. Respect. Just Greg Zuerlein. Why not? If I'm going to be making one of the last few picks here, I just grabbed the best kicker before that. All the better defenses have gone. The defenses available right now are Cleveland Browns, Dallas Cowboys, Seattle Seahawks. I'll take the Cleveland Browns. It's all right. No problem there. They were steady on defense last year. Not worried about them too much this year. They got a lot of athletic guys on the defensive side of the ball. Gotta love Denzel Ward, Demarius Randall. Love their defensive back, so feel pretty safe. Gave me an A grade. That kind of stinks. I will post the draft board here with the video. The final roster we're looking at is just went away off the screen for me. Final roster, we're looking at Phillip Rivers, David Johnson, Chris Carson, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, Greg Olsen, Mark Ingram, Tarik Cohen, Cleveland Browns defense, Greg Zuerlein kicking. That is the potential starters. Working out of the flex, I have Tarik Cohen, but, coming off the bench, I still have a guy like Ekeler that could get a ton of volume in Los Angeles. And, if necessary, could work into the starting position if Carson or David Johnson or Carson don't produce. I do have Mark Ingram in the other flex as well. And then we have Justin Jackson down there to kind of lock up that value for Ekeler. A lot of good receivers in David Moore, James Washington, Deshaun Hamilton, Jamison Crowder, guys with a lot of upside. Backing up, Adam Thielen and Amari Cooper, who I feel very confident going into the regular season with. And of course, I like the running back stack for the flex, right? I think that's really valuable, especially coming into the season. Looks like only there's one other team. Yeah, only one other team in this mock actually did it with a running back and a running back. And that was with Tevin Coleman and Devin Singletary. So I like that comparison. I'll post the final draft board. Late guys that I think you should be targeting are guys like that David Moore. Waiting on, of course, those last positions for kicker and defense. Getting quarterbacks late. You'll notice the back end of this draft. I got my two quarterbacks, a tight end, and a wide receiver. I stuck my first 12 rounds with really high upside. Guys like Hamilton, guys like Olsen that are going a lot deeper that still have a ton of upside and high octane offense like Carolina. Justin Jackson to back up Ekeler, James Washington who should have a lot of upside playing behind Juju Smith-Schuster and ahead of Moncrief it looks like. And some of the talk about Vance McDonald has been dialed back as well. So I like James Washington's position right now in their offense. It looks like he's going to have a fair amount of volume this year, and it looks like he should do plenty with it. Jamison Crowder, my 8th round, for the Jets, like I mentioned, should have a lot of targets coming out of the slot. The offensive line isn't amazing, so the ball gets out of the hands pretty quick from the quarterback into the slot hands or into Le'Veon Bell's hands. Austin Ekeler out of the 7th should get a lot more volume than I'm anticipating. Last year had just under 1,000 yards. Absolutely believe he can get over 1,000 yards all-purpose this year. Guy ahead of him, Tarik Cohen, who I'm really favoriting this year. Obviously, some recent talk about him getting less touches because they used him so much last year and then didn't use him at all in the playoffs, which was questionable. That was questionable by the coaching staff. But I don't know if it was because of his durability. The guy can run at all times. So I don't know if they were just trying to protect him in the playoffs or what was going on, but they used him very sparingly in that game against the Eagles, which was a disappointment for Bears fans. Ahead of him, I got Mark Ingram coming into Baltimore, going to be running a lot of inside zone run plays, something that he's used to. I think that he will catch a fair amount of balls out of the backfield. My only concern with Mark Ingram is Justice Hill. Justice Hill is looking very, very good, very explosive. Going to be used a lot, I think, in like play action plays, with Lamar Jackson doing a lot of rolling out, trying to move the defense east and west to create more opportunities and space for, guys like Hill, that are more explosive or guys like Snead that can, cut across the middle and create space when you have the linebackers and the defensive lines moving, right and left rather than north and south. So, and then ahead of Mark Ingram, I took Chris Carson, who I'm really favoriting right now. Seattle's talking about him getting 2/3 of the touches. They're saying his volume in the pass game should at least get him 50 catches. So there's a lot to like there. Limited weapons in the passing game, run-heavy offense, strong finisher for them last year, strong finisher for all fantasy owners last year. Had some knee work in the offseason, so Penny was kind of getting talked up in the offseason, but I think they've kind of diminished that now. So pretty confident with his value. Amari Cooper and Adam Thielen is my wide receivers ahead of him. Really confident in both of those guys to put up big numbers, over 1,000 yards, over 90 catches apiece, as long as they're healthy and on the field all year. Amari Cooper was dealing with some semi-plantar fasciitis type of injury. Should be good to go by week 1. Adam Thielen's a big ceiling type of guy. He's got to hit it easily over 1,000 yards, but does he hit that 1,300 mark again? Can he get over 100 catches with Stephon Diggs on the other side of him? Will they throw enough? Yeah, there's some questions there, but the talent and his abilities are just overwhelming for me. I took him ahead of Antonio Brown, ahead of T.Y. Hilton, and ahead of Stephon Diggs and Amari Cooper, and even Zach Ertz. So I could have even grabbed Zach Ertz right there, but I stuck with him, and I'm really confident in his value every week. And then, of course, the first round, David Johnson, still very confident with the Cardinals, and just confident that even if they're not winning games, even if their offense isn't one of the best in the league, that the main guys in the offense are still going to eat in David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald. I don't need their team to be great or look amazing on paper, but I think there will still be enough volume for David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald to eat and still be productive in fantasy, regardless if the Arizona Cardinals are good or if they're bad. So that was the full recap. Pretty happy with this. They gave me an A grade, 93, which is okay, but I really like kind of being in that B space. Because if I got an A, it probably means I followed the ADP by the computer a little bit too much, maybe, which I don't like to do. But I waited my last 2 rounds for the kicker and the defense. I didn't take a quarterback till round 13, a second quarterback till round 16. So those are really my tendencies that I like to stick with, especially in mock drafts. Just seeing what you can get much deeper. Some of these guys that went early. You're looking at Patrick Mahomes in the 2nd round. You're looking at Aaron Rodgers in the 4th, Deshaun Watson in the 4th, Drew Brees in the 6th, Baker Mayfield in the 6th. In those spaces, I was getting, Tarik Cohen, Austin Ekeler, Mark Ingram, Chris Carson. I took 4 running backs in a row. I went David Johnson, 2 wide receivers, and then 4 straight running backs. And that's, to me, really great value in the middle of those rounds, 4 through 7, guys that all have the opportunity to get a fair amount of volume. Tarik Cohen is probably the guy out of those 4 that will have the least amount of volume. So I like that setup. I like that formatting there that I had. Didn't really notice that I was doing it at the time. I don't like to go into drafts with a certain type of strategy like that. Running back, 2 wide receivers, and hit 4 running backs right away. No, it's not like a plan by any means, but when you see that value there and you see how much the running back position is valued in fantasy, at all times, you really just have to attack it. All right, guys, that's the episode. Really appreciate you following and watching. I'm going to go ahead and post the draft board with the video so that you can check everything out. Main points to hit on: target running backs early and often, find value at the wide receiver position, and dig deep later in the draft for your quarterbacks, tight ends, kicker, and defense. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.